Hi, this is Vincent Flores, and I'm reviewing the videos of Teresa and Red. So, from the explanation in the email, I understand that writing Red is just a transition period um, before you get your horse back from injury. So, I'm not going to really spend a lot of time talking about him. But perhaps I will just focus on your writing, having a dressage perspective in mind. So the first thing that I want to look at is your position. And I think you have a very good hand position and your elbow is very close to your body, which is great. You also managed to get your hands very fixed despite the the movement of the head of the horse. Like Red at times is somehow like moving his head up and down, and your hands are never interfering with this, which is a very good quality. Your upper body also has a very good position. So right now what I see that could be improved is, on one hand, your toes stick a little bit out, and usually that's a sign that you're pushing too much on your heels, right? So it's trying to keep your heels a little bit more lifted so that your toes are not drifting out. And one advice that I give to my students when this happens is to imagine that that I have two fingers, like I have my fingers in between the stirrup and your foot. And so imagine like how much it would hurt if you put that much weight right now on your stirrups. You will like crush my fingers. So you need to be able to ride with having less push with your legs down on the stirrups, right? Because this is what creates basically the toes out and the heels down. Another thing is the saddle is potentially well fitted for the horse, but it's actually putting you in a chair position, and that is impacting quite a lot your rising trot on this video, because it's moving your knee way too forward and your heel also way too forward. So ideally you need to have a straight line, a vertical line that goes from your shoulder, your hip, and your heel. And so that saddle, because the knee block or the absence of knee block is moving your knee quite forward, it's also pushing your entire lower leg forward. And therefore your center of gravity is constantly drifting you to, making you drop heavily into your seat, right? Instead of like posting just like normally, like because your heel is very forward as in comparison to your hips, then you're landing a little bit not out of balance. Of course, it's not so noticeable, but like definitely from a dressage perspective, you benefit from having a knee block that would push your leg a lot more back, right? So that would be an ideal situation, because essentially your upper body is having a good position, your lower body is not, because of the saddle. So here you're playing a little bit with leg yields. So I know Red is not a spring chicken, so it doesn't matter really if he does it perfectly and crosses perfectly. But in the positioning of the leg yield, you need to keep the horse as straight as possible, which means that when you leg yield from the right to the left, we shouldn't see any bend and flex to the right, right? So you have to keep him a little bit straighter. So now let's look at your position in the canter. So similarly to what I said before, your upper body position has a very good, like it's quite good. You're following also with your arm. You're not locking your elbows. Your hands are being quiet and quite despite the horse moving the head, which is very good. Now, if I look at, again, your seat, what is happening is that in the third beat of the canter, it's quite a common problem with a lot of people, is that so the third beat of the canter is basically, if you canter right, like now, the right front at some point is the only leg on the ground, and therefore the horse is sorry, because I was looking at the change. So yeah, so the horse is going on its forehand, right? So it's kind of a bascule. And what is happening is when that front leg is touching the ground, your butt is coming up. So he's taking you too far forward, right? So even if the movement of the canter is making your body do this, you have during the third beat of the canter to push your chest up and anchor yourself back a lot more, right? So I would like to see always, unless you're going through a cavaliere or a pole on the ground, to keep your butt in the saddle, right? So you always need to think, am I touching the back of my saddle at any moment in the canter? And that will actually help the horse to be also more balanced longitudinally. Because again, I do not know what is your background, but if it's jumping, a lot of time people are perching forward with their shoulders. You're not, right? But you're letting the horse taking you a little bit out of the saddle. And again, I'm not sure if this is also because the saddle is not fitting you very well, right? So it's not putting you in a very good position, and perhaps that's why, if the seat is too big or too open, then it will make you move too much in that saddle. Because really the purpose of the dressage saddle is to lock you in place, both in the leg positioning, and that's the role of the knee block, but also the seat is usually a little bit deeper, and the back of your seat sometimes can be also quite raised. So Red missed an opportunity to do good flying change here. But I have to say he's a very good citizen. He actually he remains very cadenced. And for being 25 years old, he seems in very good shape. He looks good physically. So it's actually a good horse to learn also. To practice your dressage, because he's very cadenced. You don't have to deal with him much, and then you can really focus on your position, right? And that's what I would recommend for you to do. In addition to finding a saddle that bring your body more in alignment, remember, between your shoulder, your hip, and your heels. Thank you, and good luck with your dressage adventure. Bye-bye.